12 years of school. 12 years of algebra, history class, English class, biology, and not a single class on how money actually works. No class on compound interest, no class on taxes, no class on how to invest, how to build credit, how to negotiate a salary, how to read a financial statement. Nothing. They teach you the quadratic formula, but not how a Roth IRA works. They teach you the causes of World War I, but not why your credit score determines so much of your life. And here's the uncomfortable part. This isn't an accident. The rules wealthy families use to build and keep money are passed down informally at kitchen tables and in family conversations. If you weren't born into those conversations, you were never supposed to have access to them. Today, I'm putting 7 of those rules on the table. The rules wealthy people follow that nobody teaches the rest of us, with real numbers, real mechanics, and the exact reason each one matters more than anything you learned in 12 years of school. My name is Jude. I put out one video a week that covers the mechanics of money most people spend their whole lives not knowing. Subscribe and hit the like button if any of these 7 rules change how you think about your finances. Let's get into it. Rule 1. Your savings rate matters more than your income. This one flips everything most people think they know about building wealth. Most people believe that to get ahead financially, they need to earn more. And earning more helps, but it's not the lever that matters most. The research on this is consistent across decades of studying millionaires. What separates the genuinely wealthy from the high earners who have nothing saved is not the size of the paycheck, it's the percentage of the paycheck that stays. Here's a simple example. Person A earns $200,000 a year, but saves only 5%, $10,000. Person B earns $60,000 a year but saves 25%, $15,000. Person B is saving $5,000 more per year despite earning 1/3 as much. Over 25 years, compounded at historical average returns, Person B ends up with significantly more wealth. The wealthy understand that income is what comes in, wealth is what stays. Every raise that gets absorbed entirely by a lifestyle upgrade might as well not have happened from a wealth-building perspective. The goal isn't to earn more, the goal is to widen the gap between what comes in and what goes out, and then deploy that gap consistently into assets that grow. Take Teresa, a middle school art teacher earning $47,000. Teresa drives a reliable used car, rents a modest apartment, cooks most meals at home. Every payday, automatically before she sees the money, 22% gets moved to investments. Not because she's depriving herself, because she designed her life to be genuinely comfortable on 78% of her take-home. At 34, Teresa's net worth is already past $180,000. Not from a high salary, from a gap between income and spending that she has protected with almost religious consistency since she was 26. The gap is the engine. Everything else is noise. Rule 2. Buy assets before buying anything else. Here's a distinction most people are never taught, and it costs them enormously. An asset is something that puts money into your pocket. Dividends, rent, appreciation, business profit. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. Car payments, credit card interest, depreciating consumer goods. Your paycheck is income. It stops the moment you stop working. An index fund holding 500 different companies keeps generating returns whether you show up or not. A rental property collects rent on the 1st of every month regardless of how your week went. An ownership stake in a business generates value while you sleep. Wealthy people build and acquire assets first, before the nicer car, before the apartment upgrade, before the vacation. They understand that every dollar that goes into an asset compounds forward. Every dollar that goes into a liability is consumed immediately and gone. The question behind every financial decision should be, is this putting money into my pocket or taking it out?
Apply that question consistently and your decisions start to look very different.
The practical application is simple. Before you upgrade anything, before the nicer apartment, before the new car, before anything, put something into an asset first. An index fund, an extra 401k contribution, anything that generates returns rather than consuming value. It doesn't have to be dramatic. Even $200 into a brokerage account before any lifestyle upgrade conditions you to asset-first thinking. Over time, the habit of buying assets before buying experiences is what separates people who are financially comfortable from people who are always just above broke despite earning reasonable money. Rule 3. Understand and use the tax code. Not to cheat, to do exactly what it was designed to let you do. Taxes are the single largest expense in most people's lives, more than rent, more than food, more than transportation. And yet most people interact with the tax code exactly once a year, filling out a form and hoping for a refund, without ever learning the tools built directly into the system to reduce what they owe. Here's what wealthy people understand. The tax code is full of incentives for specific behaviors the government wants to encourage. Save for retirement, and the code rewards you. Invest in health accounts, and the code rewards you. Hold investments long-term instead of trading constantly, and the code rewards you with a lower rate. In 2026, you can put $24,500 into a 401k and reduce your taxable income today by that much. You can put $7,500 into a Roth IRA, where it grows completely tax-free forever. You can contribute up to $8,785 into an HSA as a family, a triple tax-advantaged account that the wealthy use aggressively while most people have never heard of it. You can hold index funds for over a year and pay capital gains tax instead of income tax, a significantly lower rate for most people. These aren't loopholes, they're doors built directly into the system. Every wealthy person in America walks through them. Most people walk past them because nobody ever pointed at them and said, "There, that one." Take Oliver and Priya, both earning $85,000 a year. Oliver contributes nothing to retirement accounts, pays his taxes in full, and invests whatever he saves in a taxable brokerage. Priya maxes her 401k, contributes to a Roth IRA, and uses her HSA aggressively. Priya's taxable income for the year drops from $85,000 to roughly $48,600 after contributions. Her tax bill is dramatically smaller than Oliver's, and her retirement accounts are growing in tax-advantaged environments that Oliver's taxable account doesn't get access to. Over 30 years, the difference between using these accounts and not using them on identical incomes amounts to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Same gross income, dramatically different net outcome. The tax code handed Priya a tool, she used it. Rule 4. Protect your income before you protect your stuff. Most people have car insurance because the law requires it. They have renters or home insurance because the landlord or bank requires it. And they have absolutely nothing protecting the thing that generates all of it, their ability to earn. A 35-year-old earning $75,000 a year has roughly 30 years left in their working career. That's $2.25 million in future earnings, before raises, before career growth, sitting completely unprotected. One serious illness, one accident, one health crisis that takes them out of work for a year or two, and everything else they've built comes under immediate threat. Disability insurance is the coverage wealthy people buy first, before anything else, and the coverage most people have never looked into. The odds of experiencing a long-term disability during your working years are dramatically higher than the odds of dying young, and yet nobody sells disability insurance at the drive-thru. It doesn't get marketed loudly, so most people simply don't have it. For people with dependents, term life insurance, not whole life, not universal life, just straightforward term coverage, is another foundational protection that costs less than most people assume. These aren't glamorous products, but losing your income without protection turns a difficult situation into a catastrophic one.
The wealthy protect their earning capacity first. Everything else is downstream.
Rule 5. Make your money work for you while you sleep. Wealthy people do not primarily get wealthy by working more hours. They get wealthy by owning things that generate value without their constant presence. The most accessible version of this for most people is owning shares of a broad index fund. Every share of an S&P 500 index fund is a fractional ownership stake in 500 of the most productive businesses in the world. Those businesses hire employees, sell products, generate revenue, pay dividends, and grow in value every single day, including weekends, holidays, and the week you're on vacation. They work while you sleep. Over the last 30 years, the S&P 500 has returned approximately 10.7% annually. $10,000 invested in 1995 into a simple index fund is worth roughly $200,000 today. It went through 2 recessions, a financial crisis, a pandemic, multiple bear markets, and every headline that convinced people the world was ending, and it still compounded into 20 times its starting value. The wealthy are not doing this differently than you can. The S&P 500 is available to anyone with a brokerage account and $1. The difference is that wealthy families pass down the habit of using it, while most people were never told it was available.
Jerome is 44, works as a maintenance technician at a commercial building, earns around $52,000 a year. He started investing $200 a month into a simple index fund at 24. Nothing complicated, nothing sophisticated. He never stopped, even during the months when it was uncomfortable. 20 years later, his portfolio has crossed $162,000. Jerome works 40 hours a week. His portfolio works 168 hours a week, generating returns on every one of those hours, whether Jerome is there or not. Jerome doesn't look wealthy from the outside. He's not trying to. He's just been quietly running a second income stream for 20 years that most of the people around him don't know exists.
Rule 6. Live below your means, but do it as a design choice, not a punishment. This is the one people get wrong more than any other. They hear spend less and they think deprivation. They picture a joyless existence of generic cereal and never going anywhere. That's not what the genuinely wealthy do, and it's not what I'm suggesting. The wealthy live intentionally below their financial means while living fully within their personal values. They spend on the things that genuinely matter to them without apology, and they've made explicit peace with not spending on the things that don't. Maybe they always fly economy class on business, but they spend without flinching on a week in Italy once a year, because travel is what gives their life texture. They drive a paid-off car, not because they can't afford better, but because they've decided that a car is a tool, and the extra $40,000 is worth more deployed elsewhere. They eat at home most nights, but when a friend's milestone comes up, they show up fully and pick up the tab without calculating. The goal is intentional spending, knowing exactly what you value and what you don't, and ruthlessly optimizing around that answer. When you're clear on your values, below your means stops feeling like sacrifice and starts feeling like freedom. You're not missing the things you skipped, you're enjoying everything you chose.
Here's a practical tool. Sit down for 30 minutes and do a discretionary spending audit. Go through the last 3 months of statements and identify every dollar that went somewhere you didn't consciously choose. Not every dollar you spent, every dollar you autopiloted. The subscriptions you forgot, the takeout that happened because you didn't plan dinner, the impulse purchases that seemed fine in the moment, the upgrades you made because something was on sale. For most households, that audit reveals $300 to $500 a month in spending that wasn't a genuine choice. It was just the path of least resistance. That $400 a month, redirected consistently into an index fund, compounds to well over $200,000 in 20 years. Nobody felt deprived, they just stopped autopiloting.
Rule 7. Invest in your own earning capacity, because it's still the highest return asset available to most people in their 20s and 30s. The 5 rules before this one are about managing and deploying the money you already have. This one is about growing the amount of money available to deploy in the first place. Wealthy families invest in education, skills, certifications, and networks, not just in financial accounts. They understand that a $2,000 course that leads to a $20,000 salary increase returns 1,000% in year one alone. That's a return no index fund can match. The skill compounds every year afterward because it raises the baseline from which all future raises and negotiations happen. Specifically, learn your industry's highest value skills and pursue them deliberately. Build relationships with people who are further along than you, not to network in the transactional sense, but because being in rooms where the thinking is more advanced is one of the most accelerating things you can do. Negotiate your salary aggressively at every opportunity. The difference between negotiating and not negotiating at each job transition compounds enormously over a 30-year career. And consider every dollar spent on something that increases your earning power as an investment, not an expense.
Candice was a data analyst who spent $2,800 on a data science certification at 27. 6 months later, she was promoted into a senior role with an $18,500 salary increase. That's more than 600% return on investment in year one alone, a return no index fund has ever matched. Every subsequent raise, every negotiation, every future role was built on a higher baseline because of that $2,800 decision. The skill compounded through her entire career. Investing in your earning capacity doesn't replace investing in financial assets, it multiplies it. Because the higher your income, the more you can deploy into the accounts and assets that grow while you sleep. 7 rules. Let me put them together because each one amplifies the others. Rule 1. Your savings rate matters more than your income. Widen the gap and protect it. Rule 2. Assets first. Buy things that put money in your pocket before you buy things that take it out. Rule 3. Use the tax code. The doors are built in. Walk through them. Rule 4. Protect your income first. Disability insurance, term life, the stuff nobody talks about and everyone who needed it wishes they'd had. Rule 5. Make your money work while you sleep. Own pieces of things that generate value without your constant presence. Rule 6. Live below your means by design, not by deprivation. Know your values, spend freely on those, and make peace with everything else. Rule 7. Invest in your earning capacity, because a skill that raises your income by $20,000 a year compounds through every subsequent year of your career. These rules don't require a high income to start. They require a decision. The first decision you make that moves money toward an asset instead of a lifestyle upgrade is the most important financial event of your life, because it's the one that starts the sequence. This conversation, the one about savings rates and tax-advantaged accounts and assets before liabilities and protecting your income, this is the conversation wealthy families have at the kitchen table, the informal curriculum, the stuff that gets passed down between generations, not in classrooms, but in living rooms, at dinner tables, on Sunday afternoons. If you weren't born into that conversation, you were probably never supposed to have it. Nobody was going to explain the 401k match to you if you didn't ask. Nobody was going to tell you that the Roth IRA existed unless you went looking. Nobody hands you the disability insurance form unprompted. But you have it now, and having it changes what's possible. The quadratic formula will be of almost no use to you in the rest of your life. What you do with these 7 rules might change the entire shape of it. If any of these 7 rules landed, hit that like button and subscribe. Every week I cover the mechanics of money that most people spend their lives not knowing they needed to know. And if you want to see what happens when these rules run together for 40 years, the video on what $100 a month does to your life over 40 years shows you the exact math from payday 1. That one's right there. I'll see you in it.